What's up, people? This is Sohrab and welcome to the first episode of Storytelling in Video Game series. In these series of videos, we will analyze video games as a storytelling medium. We'll look at the story structure and how the story is told in the game. Also, at the end of the video, we will explore the possibility of changing the story in different ways that could make it more interesting. So, Resident Evil 2. This was actually the first Resident Evil game that I played in PS1 back in the day and is one of my favorite games of all time. The game is a 1998 survival horror following directly after the events of Resident Evil 1. The story of Resident Evil 2 is played from the perspective of two different protagonists, Claire Redfield and Leon Kennedy. So to get the whole story, you'll have to play both scenarios. In this video, we will focus on the Claire Redfield story. So the plot of the game. In my opinion, the story can be divided in 4 sections, each section ending with a climax of some sort. Let's start with the first section. The game starts with a black and white cutscene summarizing the events in Resident Evil 1. The first image you see is the image of the first zombie in Resident Evil 1, which is a great hook to start the game. We are introduced to the mansion incident in the first game, which was caused by the release of a bioweapon called the T-Virus, which causes mutations in living beings and basically turns people into zombies. There are also mentions of the Umbrella Corporation as responsible for the creation of the T-Virus and the Raccoon City Police Department STARS unit, specifically Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine, who were the main characters in the first game. Then we jump into an animated cutscene. We see Claire on a bike arriving at a seemingly empty Raccoon City. Then we cut to a truck driver getting bit by a zombie and driving off. We cut back to Claire as she's going into a diner looking for someone that she can talk to, but then she's confronted with a zombie. As she's trying to escape the place, she meets the other main playable character of the game, Leon, who saves her. They decide to go to the police station since it would be safer there, so they find a police car and get into it. Here we have some dialogue between these two characters which basically lets us know why they're there. Claire is Chris Redfield's sister and is looking for him. And Leon is coming to join the police force as it is his first day on the job. Finally, the incident that ends this part of the story happens, which is the same truck guy that we saw before now has turned into a zombie and hits the police car, resulting in Claire and Chris separating. And this concludes the first part of the story, which is basically the setup for the rest of the game. The opening of the game is basically all about introducing the players to the backstory of Resident Evil 1, the main characters, and why they are in the city. This part is all in cutscenes and there is no gameplay. At the end of this part, we climax to an incident which separates our protagonists and forces them to engage the zombies and other potential monstrosities in the city alone. Claire's first priority at this point is to get to the police station. Now, moving on to the second part of the story. This is where the players can control the main protagonists and basically play the game. There is a section where you have to go through the city to get to the police station. Claire meets the gun shop owner pretty quickly after the game starts, but he's killed off by the zombies as quickly. This is a great little part which serves to convey a feeling of tension and not being safe early on. After a while, Claire gets to the police station, but pretty soon it becomes apparent that the police station is not safe either and has been taken over by the zombies. Here you'll find some documents while searching the station, which describes the struggles of some of the survivors in the station and how they plan to escape the station from the sewers. On the second floor of the station, Claire finds the STARS unit office, and there, through another memo, finds out that Chris, her brother, has already left Raccoon City to investigate the Umbrella headquarters in Europe. There is also a mention of a new virus called the G virus. So at this point, Claire's main goal is out of the window, since Chris is not in Raccoon City anymore. Before leaving the STARS office, we also receive a fax containing information about the police chief Brian Irons, who has been apparently receiving bribes from Umbrella during the last 5 years. This character is also one of the important characters in the game, which we'll see more of later. After some more exploration in the police station, Claire finds a little girl who is being chased down by a zombie, but she runs away before Claire can get to her. Shortly after, Claire meets Leon again. They decide to have Leon looking for an exit while Claire focuses on finding the little girl. So our hero is presented with a new problem and a new goal, which is to find the little girl. From here on, you have some exploration to do in the police station. Claire will again find some memos giving her some more information about Chief Irons, basically setting him up as a villain. After a while, Claire meets up with Chief Irons in his office, sitting over the corpse of the mayor's daughter, who according to him he was supposed to protect. Here there is a little bit of a strangeness going on, since if the player has read the memos up to now, he or she knows that Chief Irons is an evil guy and probably partly responsible for what is happening in the Raccoon City. However, Claire interacts with him in a completely natural way, which is odd. Shortly after this encounter, Claire finds the little girl she was looking for, which turns out to be Sherry, the daughter of one of the Umbrella employees, which according to her works in the chemical plant. She says she has been told by her mother to go to the police station to be safe. She also tells Claire something large is following her. And right at this moment, we hear a loud roar, which causes her to flee again. Sherry is also one of the main characters of the game, which will be with us to the end of the game. We also find Chief Irons' diary detailing the terrible things he has done after the incident, like killing the mayor's daughter, and that he wanted to hunt down and kill all the survivors in the station. His motivation being the fact that if he's going down, then he will take everybody down with him. So at this point we know him to be an absolutely evil guy. After some more exploration, we get close to another climax in the story. After gathering 3 tablets, you can open a secret door behind Chief Irons' desk, which goes down to the sewers. You will also find Sherry there. Claire goes down to secure the way and asks Sherry to stay up. Downstairs, Claire faces Chief Irons, which has been impregnated by some type of parasite. Here he reveals his true character, which is already known to the players who have read the memos. He reveals some information about the G virus and its creator William Birkin, and also mentions that Sherry is his daughter. Iron wants to kill Claire as well, but suddenly is torn apart by the parasite from the inside out before doing so. But when trying to go further in the sewers, Claire is faced with a parasite, which is now grown to be a big monster. After killing the monster, Claire goes back to get Sherry and informs Leon by radio that they are escaping the station through the sewers. At this point, it almost seems like everything is going according to plan. They go down, but all of a sudden, a huge monster shows up, who does not notice Claire and Sherry at this point, and they panic and run. Suddenly Sherry falls down a hole, and the player will play a short section as Sherry here, before she falls down again and loses consciousness. And gets grabbed by the monster. And that concludes the second part in the story. This part is all about getting introduced to the police station, which the player will spend a good portion of the game in, exploring it, finding out about the struggles of the survivors in the station, as well as the fate of Chris. Player is also introduced to one of the main supporting characters in the game, Sherry, and the villain of this section of the game, Chief Irons. Much of the story is revealed through text, but also there is some dialogue. Things have not gotten serious yet, and there are no big monsters revealed to the player up to the end. The climax at the end of this section has a push-pull element to it, as at first, after defeating the monster, you feel like you're close to achieving your goal of fleeing the station with Sherry. But all of a sudden, you're faced with an even bigger monster and you lose Sherry, which basically sends you to a lower point than you were before you found Sherry. At this point, Claire's primary goal is to find and save Sherry from the monster.